Hello and welcome to Whiskey Resource. My name is Mark. This is review number 47. Today I'm going to be looking at a bourbon. Now today's bourbon is Angel's Envy. There's a bit of a backstory about Angel's Envy in that it's not a regular Kentucky straight bourbon. It's actually port finished. Now some of you may know that. Up until very recently it wasn't available in the UK. But in the last few years, Angel's Envy was taken over by Bacardi. So Bacardi have committed to pushing the product onto the UK market, which is very welcome because I've had my eye on Angel's Envy for quite some time. I've been looking at the auctions, trying to find a bottle of it, but the price has always been quite high. It has been in stock in various specialist whiskey retailers, but it's always been upwards of the hundreds, £200 for a bottle, which is more than I'm prepared to pay for a whiskey that I might not necessarily like. But as I say, this year Bacardi have decided to launch the product in the UK, and I think they're just slowly dripping it into the UK. Now the Whiskey Exchange have, over the last few months, had very small bottle numbers that they've been selling. Unfortunately, I've been missing out on the bottles, but I did manage to bag the 30ml perfect measure sample. So as you can see there, it's bottled at 43.3% ABV, if the camera was to focus on that. It's, as I say, it's port finished. So I'll give you a bit of the details about this. I'm not going to do a value score, I'll come to that in a minute. So Angel's Envy, as I say, it's owned by Bacardi. It is a Kentucky straight bourbon out of Louisville in Kentucky. They mature their bourbons for 3 years. Well, I'll actually read out what I found out about them. So it's a Kentucky straight bourbon finished in port wine casks. The small batch 8 to 12 barrels at a time. It's typically aged for up to 6 years, although I have read 3 years, but up to 6 years. They lose about 5% of the spirit each year to evaporation. That's the Angel's share. What's left behind, they're truly grateful for and worthy of envy. There's the name. So a bit of a cheeky thing there. Kind of a, what's the word? A marketing story. Once it's steam ready, we finish the bourbon in ruby port wine casks, which add subtle distinct flavour nuances that enhance the whiskey without challenging it. The port finish lasts between 3 to 6 months, depending on taste. So that's generally industry standard. If they don't have a port maturation whiskey, it's typically finished up to 6 months, sometimes a tiny bit longer, but 6 months is the norm. They use a 60-gallon ruby port barrel made from French oak and imported directly from Portugal. This creates whiskey of unprecedented smoothness, sweetness and balance. So that's a little bit of what the Angel's Envy website, which is angelsenvy.com, talk about. In terms of other information, well, the information I found previously when I started researching this a while ago was it was 4 years. So 4 years aging, I'm going to go with at the moment. It's non-chill filtered. It is natural colour, even though it's sitting at 43.3%. To see that it's non-chill filtered is fantastic. It's great. It's a pale ruby red is what they say the colour is. They use American white oak and then the French oak port finishing. It has a mash bill of corn, barley, of rye, and the corn sits at 72% of the mash bill. The rye is 18% of the mash bill, and barley sits at 10% of the mash bill. And it is a barrel char level number 3, so medium char. It's fantastic, the openness that Angel's Envy are actually putting out there, providing all this information, and that is to be commended. I just wish more distilleries would do that. As I say, Angel Envy has been taken over by Bacardi Limited and they're trying to distribute it into the UK. So the Whiskey Exchange website currently don't have any in stock. So I don't know what the UK retail price is of it. So because of that, I can't give a average value score. and I need to confirm obviously the age statement, because potentially it's as much as 6-year-old after the pour finishing. Others could say that it's only 4. So it's obviously arbitrary depending upon the quality of the casks and how they feel it's matured. So ruby port finished American bourbon. You can see now why I wanted to try this, because coming from a bourbon background, a bit of water in my glass there, coming from a bourbon background, and the fact that I do like finished whiskies, particularly port finished whiskies and sherry matured whiskies, I've been eager to try this. So here we go. As always, I'm not going to finish the bottle. The Bimber that I had the other day, well, yes, we'll check the Bimber review out. On the nose. So on the nose, straight away, it's bourbon-esque. So you're getting the vanilla, you're getting the oak, you're getting the sweetness, but you're getting fruit. You know, rich fruits. Not as rich as a Scotch that's port finished, but fruit nonetheless. You're getting maple as well, and the fruit, I want to say it's like a vanilla plum, like plums that have been soaked in some kind of vanilla syrup, and then that honeyed mapley vanilla of the bourbon comes in the background, and then it wraps over the fruits of the port. It's a lovely nose. It is nice, but on the palate, okay, so it started with sweet pear drop confection, then some sweet acetone notes, then overripe banana, vanilla, and spices, cinnamon. Chocolate. Yeah, chocolate. It's got the DNA of a bourbon on the nose, on the palate. It's got that underlying bourbon to it, and that's just been married with this gorgeous fruit accent, which has basically looked at the bourbon taste profiled, and it's just filed away. It's just filed away at those rough, exaggerated bourbon notes that sometimes you get put off by, and it's mellowed them. And when it's mellowed them, it's then added in its own really nice, fruity, chocolatey notes. And the legs are quite decent as well. Don't know if you can see those legs, just running down the glass there. The legs aren't too bad either. Would I buy it? Well, given I paid a £5 for the sample, 30ml sample, it really all depends upon the price. Yes, I would buy it, subject to how much it's going to charge. If that was a £50 upward bottle, then I wouldn't. I wouldn't pay 50 quid or more for it. if it's sat, I would hope to say it was £45, less obviously, but £45 I think would be a good price point for it. It's something different to the bourbon market. I think it'll be well received in the UK market. The bottle is great. It's got a really nice shape to it. It's like the angel's wings off a body. I'll put a link to the Whiskey Exchange, the product placement page. It's currently out of stock, but you can still view the page, so you can see what the bottle looks like if you're not familiar. And of course, the video image frame that you'll see will be the bottle as well. So it's a lovely bottle. As an overall score, I'm going to give it 88, which is the highest score in bourbon I've done. So the highest score in American whiskey, that goes to the Westland American Oak. But I will be adding to the website a individual bourbon score as well, so you can see what the best score in bourbon is. So Angel as MV takes that spot. In terms of overall American whiskies, that goes to the Westland American Oak. On the subject of Westland, I have the Sherrywood Westland to try. I picked up a sample of that from Masters of Malt, so I'm looking forward to trying that shortly. And indeed, I've got so many samples, it's ridiculous. I've picked up a few more. I picked up the Deanston sample set. I picked up the Master of Malt Father's Day set as well. There's a bourbon in there, so I've got quite a few miniatures to be getting through. So for the time being, I'll be putting out more frequent videos to try and clear off some of the shelf that I've got going there of all of my samples, miniatures, and I've got other dram samples that Stuart of Whiskey Wim sent us. So I've got a few of those to try as well. So it's going to be samples and miniatures for the time being. Thank you.